What's that sound? It's for amusement only, the EM and Bingo Pinball podcast. Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Tonight I have a special treat. The foremost bingo player that I'm aware of, Vic Camp, has a beautiful collection of Bally bingos and godly wedge heads. Tonight I wanted to talk with him about his beginnings in bingo playing and collecting on the streets of New Jersey. So, Vic, hello.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, can't be any better, man.
Talking pinball on a Saturday. It's a good time, huh?
I love it. I eat, breathe, and drink it.
I can tell you're a very prolific poster in all the various pinball forums, and your passion comes through quite clearly in everything that I've seen online. So, Vic, first let's start. How old are you?
Just turned 59 this past March.
Well, happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you.
So, my typical first question after that is, what's the first coin-op machine that you remember playing?
Probably the King of Diamonds.
King of Diamonds. That's an excellent game.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite out of the Wedgehead series. Mm-hmm. For different reasons we won't get into right now. We're probably want to head towards the bingos.
So, when was the first bingo that you played? What year was that?
It was probably, I guess, around the age of 14. Let me see. Got to do the math here. Probably about 1969.
Okay.
67, somewhere along there. Probably 69. Yeah, that was around 13, 14 years of age, I remember. First playing a bingo, yeah.
So that was after the transition to metal rails.
Right. Actually, Light of Line was the first bingo that I played. And before that, probably from an age about 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 for sure, I was just flipper pinball crazy. I mean, played a lot of flipper games. And then once I bumped into that Light of Line at the Lemon Ice place there on Bloomfield Avenue. It was called Ting-a-Ling. Mm-hmm. It was a big place, sold hot dogs and Italian lemon ice. It was homemade, and they had them in the back of the room there. They were off from the front where the counter space was and the pizza was being served and all of that. They had a separate room and a back entrance to that room. And I used to see all the older guys playing there, and once I learned about the Light of Lines and how to play them, I decided to go and play there because that's where all the action was. This was a big hangout. Right below the store there, Ting-a-Ling, was the subway that would get you downtown Newark. So people would come up out of the subway steps and go right into Ting-a-Ling and start playing bingos right with their jackets on in the cold winter months. It was crazy. Lots of people hung there. It was a really cool time. And I finally got a chance to play. Once they knew I was only 14, but once they knew I knew the numbers and I was playing at other establishments, they started serving me there. So I ended up playing at Ting-a-Ling at an early age, but then moved down closer to my house in the city of Newark, New Jersey, because within that whole 3 or 4 block radius, there must have been 9, 10, 12, 15 bingos. So, but at all different stores, yeah, they were everywhere. So, that place was a little rough for a 13, 14-year-old kid. Not that it didn't affect me. It's just that it was a little rowdy. I needed concentration, and I needed to focus. I needed to win. I wasn't there to just pass time and hang out. I was there to dominate that machine, to stay on as long as I can, and to get up as many replays as I could. Because once I got the triple digits up there, 100-plus games, they knew that they were in for a long wait, who was ever wanting to play that game. The good thing about Ting-a-Ling was they had 3 or 4 machines. So really, it had to be packed for you not to get on the machines, because back in 1969, money was scarce, especially in the big city. We lived in a really poor neighborhood, and, money for me was, I used to go and cash in 2-cent Coca-Cola bottles and carry bags during the day for people, anything to make some money for some pinball action, But once I hung at Ting-a-Ling, I moved down. I got away from the rowdiness, and I was going to a place called Rose's. There was this old lady that had a confectionery store, and she had about 4 bingos in the back. And she was the sweetest old lady. She just let everybody play, whoever wanted to play, old, young, whatever. And let me tell you something, people were caught in school. They were taking long lunches. Mature people that had real jobs and families would take long lunches and stay there. Who would play hooky? Who wouldn't go back to work? The bingos, it was more than just a machine. It was, for me, I got addicted to them. I mean, I loved them at the start, and I wanted to play them because I wanted to win replays and stay on the machine and play all day or whatever. Of course, I wanted to cash in and have a little bit of pocket money, but in the beginning, that really wasn't my main attraction. The attraction was that replay meter and the digits. And, when you play a pinball machine, you got that 0 to 15. That's about it. And just the amount of replays, it really enticed me to want to play them games and get good at them games and win at them games. So I ended up playing closer to home at Rose's, and all my friends got involved. I mean, there was all walks of life there. People worked all day, would come home from work and play pinballs till 10, 11 o'clock. She would stay open really late. And it was just a great place to be at the time. I mean, I remember, especially in the winter months, bingo pinball was great, because them stores would have them big radiators, and it'd be so heated up, and jackets come off, and we'd make an event out of it. I'd get there. Sometimes I'd wait at night. I'd be thinking, if I get there early enough, when he turned key and got in, I would be the first one. I get choice of any machine I want. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get up 5 a.m. When he gets there at 6, I'll be waiting at the door. So there were some days I would get up and just be there opening, because I became friendly. I was really a good kid. I mean, they didn't like me because I would win. The bottom line was they felt sorry for me. Nice kid, but don't come back. You're killing the machines. You're winning too much. So, Rose's was a great place in the beginning. And then right next to Rose's, 2 doors down, an Italian cafe opened up. And then by that time, it was 1971. And a lot of the 6-card games were starting to come out from Bally, because Bally made a 6-card game, Light-A-Line, which is one of my favorite, in 1961. We all know that Bally started making bingos in 1951, and the first game was a 6-card game called Bright Lights, which I had the pleasure of owning 2 of them. The only problem with Bright Lights is the number combinations was like in test mode. They made different combinations from when they really went steady and made all 6 cards, all the number combinations, all the same through the years. I guess that first game off the manufacturing line was a test sample for, seeing how the players did with this game and what they were going to, correct the next year. And they did correct it probably after the 6-card game, not Ice Frolics. That was a 3-card game. Just Frolics was a 6-card game back in 51 or 2. I'm not sure. But anyway, by that time, I was moving over to the Italian Cafe, which was right next to Rose's, and 2 doors down, and they were putting in the first 6-card game in 1971 called Stock Market. So from 61, from when Light-A-Line was made, to 1971, there were no other 6 cards made. If you look at Jeffrey Lawton's book or find out some history somewhere, go look. I believe that there was a long stretch, and I remember them Light-A-Lines in Newark everywhere. Old looking and beat up, but still tickering and chiming and everything. I mean, it was great. They moved it from a dime a play on the Light-A-Lines to a quarter a play, which really was a big boost. I was still a poor kid by then. And it was a good thing that the the stock market came out in 71 because it was a quarter, but they came out with super lines and corners and things of that nature. I mean, Bally really started exploding with features back then. The next game out got something else, and the game after that got something else. So that really made it easy for me being a player on a 6-card game for all them years. And Light a Line is the toughest 6-card game out there. I mean, literally, they took the center spot number off every vendor, every avenue I roamed, every game I played, Light a Line, and they were out there for 10 years straight. All had the center spot number, but I never knew that till I purchased my own Light a Line and found out. I opened the head up and saw, oh, look at this, a spotting unit. So, I mean, the funny thing about the line of lines is they were 10 cents a shot, and you got the first 3 cards for 10 cents. And then the 4th, 5th, and 6th card would cost you extra coins, and they only lit at random. But I learned the click at the end of dropping the coin in. I learned the click at an early age, and my friends thought I was crazy. I said, now listen, everybody be quiet. I know the click. And they said, what? I said, you won't have to waste no more money. If the click comes up, drop the diamond, you'll get the 4th or 5th or 6th card. And still today, I know that click, and I taught everybody that click through the years. It's a little, someday you'll witness it if you come across a Light a Line, Nick. At the end of the stroke on them relays, when they click at the end, you get like a real fast double, triple click. It's a high-pitched click, and you can tell by the sound that it's going to give you the light, the next card. And I would always, they would all test me all the time. Is it it? No. Is it it? No. This is it. Okay. Oh, how do you know that? So it was great. I mean, we literally were around the games all the time. I mean, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Pinball, when pinball first hit the scene for me, the flipper games, I couldn't stop thinking of it all the time. I wanted to play it. It's all I did. But then when I got addicted to the bingos, it was strong. I mean, now I started, and I didn't stop playing for 20 years. I guess it was, 69, 79, 89, yeah, at least 20 years straight. I mean, I grew up, I got a car license, I've had a girlfriend. All I thought about was leaving my girl. I'm going to go play a roll of quarters. I'll stop in at 10 o'clock when I leave. I'll stay till 1 or 2. I got to get up for work the next day. I would have all this information in my head when I went to play the games, because I knew that I literally was going to have a marathon there because I was good. I did not want to lose. I played tremendous amount of hours. I knew all the combinations from being a lurker. A lurker is someone that stood by the machine and just called numbers for people. Some people didn't want you to lurk, but a lot of the people, especially the older players, they wanted that kid calling the extra numbers because they couldn't focus and look at the cards and didn't really know the combinations. They weren't that dedicated to these machines like me. I drew up blank cards, 6 blank cards on a notebook paper, and circled all the holes in them, and then memorized the numbers, and then looked away from the back glass and tried to fill in all the numbers I could in all the cards. And that's how I really got to learn the number combinations. Plus, being around the machines 8, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, calling numbers, going partners. I was popular. Everybody wanted to go partners with me. The big thing in Newark, New Jersey was going partners. Everybody wanted to go $10 each or 2 rolls of quarters each, play together, play with a good player, extend their playing time, and win at the end. They hoped for that. And there really weren't that many good players. And the vendors rigged the machines. Tilts were very sensitive. Oh, they used lemon pledge on the playfields, made it so slippery and wild that Crazy Eddie couldn't play it. So what we did is we smoked cigarettes and flicked ashes on the top of the playfield glass. The playfield glasses would move gently up and down vertically, and there's a little space. They're not that tight, so we would pull it all the way down towards the lockdown bar and then flick the ashes on the top of the back glass and then blow into the glass and under the head and get the ashes to fall into the playfield. Right on the top parts where the ball rides back and forth, back. And the ball would pick it up, the ball would push it down, and before you know it, we'd slow that game down. Of course, there were other means to slow the game down, like bring your own little level in, level the game, go under the game, lift the game up with your back at 14 years old, and I was small, and get them legs up far enough because you're determined. You want to win. You don't want to lose your money. You want to extend your playing time, so you're going to lift that game up and then level that machine.
Now, did anybody ever catch you doing that?
Yes, I was going to get around to that. I got pulled out by my hair and kicked in the butt plenty of times, and it wasn't by anybody gentle. So the other thing I did was, and it was a dead giveaway, and this is how they caught me, is I would put a can of soda behind the head, a little bit higher than center of the back box, to against the wall, and I have the guys push the machine in and jam the machine and the can between the wall and the game, and that would stiffen the whole machine from rocking, and that would alleviate the tilt bob from swinging. You got a level game, cigarette ashes in there, soda can up. Now the vendors, we're even. Now they're going to be, now we give the players a chance. But a lot of the players didn't like it. Some players, I would always find the can on the floor. I'd play a couple hours, come back the next night and find the can, or the same day and find the can on the floor, because I knew there was a couple guys I watched them pull. You got that can up again? Or they pull out towards the lockdown bar and drop the can, and they liked it that way, but they were fools because they ended up tilting, or it just wasn't right. But that Italian cafe was a big hangout for me, and then directly across the street was a Hallmark card store. And I have a picture of three of my friends. One has an afro, it was so long ago, playing a Nashville in there, right alongside all the Hallmark cards. I love you, happy birthday. And there's this big bingo just sitting in the middle of this store, and it's run by Newark policemen.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was my area. I lived right, the machines I'm talking about right now, Roses and Italian Cafe and Blocks was the name of the confectionery, the Hallmark store. And they were all on the same block. And my house was 2 blocks away from there. So I literally sometimes wouldn't bring my car here because everybody would see my car. And they'd all come in and watch. And I really didn't want too many people watching because I loved playing alone. The best times in the night were about, the Italian Cafe would stay open all night sometimes. They would play all these Italian guys from Europe and Italy. They play these Italian card games and drink espresso, and they're up all night drinking that stuff. So they would stay open real late. So I would leave, maybe my girlfriend's house or somewhere, and I'd go there about 11 o'clock at night, and it'd be real quiet in the back, no one playing the bingos, and I would go back there and crack a couple of rolls of quarters open and play. I enjoyed playing in front of everybody too, but I played my best when I was alone. So, it was great. At a very early age, it was really fun to have all the guys. I mean, we brought a tape recorder in. I remember my friend had this big Panasonic tape recorder with a cassette tape, and we taped Al Pace. We had all nicknames. We taped Groucho and his wife. We nicknamed all the people that played these bingos. We all had nicknames anyway growing up, all us guys that hung out together. So we decided to, make fun of these people in a nice gesture way, and just nickname all the players that came in, because we had names for everybody. And this guy, Al Pace, would Double or Nothing. Now, you've got a ticker tape, so you know about the Double or Nothing. Mm-hmm. That Double or Nothing, he would hit with his thumb. He was a carpenter or something. He used to work with his hands and come in with these hands full of plaster and all this stuff, take his money, all his hard-earned pay. He was such a loser because he was the biggest degenerate gambler. I mean, he doubled everything. 5 in a row. He just wanted the big payout. And that's not the way to play the bingos. Everybody knows that. But anyway, we taped him. We taped Groucho and his wife and Groucho's wife's sister. They used to play a lot. I mean, there was this kid, Andrew, who used to have maybe 200 keys on his waistbands and leather jacket. He looked like the Fonzie with a bunch of keys going around his belt buckle there. He played a lot. And it was even tough to get on the machines. Sometimes they'd be busy. A lot of people would be playing these things night and day, and they made a lot of money. But I'll tell you, I did good on them. I did good on them games. I played in the Italian Cafe. I must have had the record. I got in here 11 in the morning. I was still playing 1 o'clock at night. I went home and had dinner. I had so many games up. I told the kid that was lurking, I said, here, play my games. I'm going to eat dinner, because if I didn't go home, my father got mad. So I had to go home for dinner at least. I ran home. I was only 2 blocks away. Ate dinner, 10 seconds flat, ran back, and he's been playing one card at a time. I still got, 1,800 games up on the I told him, don't go no lower than 16, just stall, because I'm afraid he was going to lose all my games. He stunk, the kid. But so much fun, man. They brought me so much joy. I mean, I love the bingos, and it's a shame that I got rid of a lot of my collection. Right now, I think I got 6 or 7. I don't even know what the count is. I was up to, I had over 20-something bingos at one time. I even bought out Bill Dahl from New York. I used to run the York show before the guy that's running the York show now. I took the box truck from work at ADP. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, they know about it. And I took a couple of the IT guys from the computer room, the data center, and went down and bought out Bill Dahl's warehouse, where he had his private collection in there. He had his email was Turf King, because he loved the one-ball Turf King. I ended up getting 2 Turf Kings. He never got them to work. I fixed one. I made one beautiful one and had it in my collection here. Man, that was a nice game. Gorgeous game. I sold that to a friend around town here. But I think Dahl had about, I think I put 27 machines in that box truck that day. I filled up. The tires were so low going back home. The 2 IT guys were exhausted and hated my guts. I got to stop for a couple bottles of wine for them. I told them, you know what? Pick any games you want each. You guys deserve it. They looked like they got beat up by Muhammad Ali. So we finally got back, and I could only put half in my house. I had to go calling people at night and dropping games off from the box truck because I had to get the box truck empty back at work. We had a big move job the next day. But I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I'm 59 now, and I don't have enough of these games, and the bingos especially. I wish that I could play them on route again. I mean, they're still out there, but every 10 years, everything changes for a guy. As you mature, you go down. Things aren't as important, but they're just the thing for me now is I'd love to just try to get more games out there, bingo pinball machines, to these collectors. At the present time, the present time being the hobby's exploded. The hobby is as big as it's ever been. I was there over 30 years ago when I had nowhere to turn to find out where I can get a part or do I rebuild these pop bumpers or there was nothing. So I mean now, if they're being involved with the hobby, I've done a lot of restorations. I've helped a lot of people. I had over 150 machines go through my hands, but still, I took the time out to dedicate, to put pictures on IPD, to join up on pinballowners.com, but build his website with him, put on all the information I could put on there. I mean, but it seems like right now is the time for bingo pinball. This is what I feel. If they're knowing what I know, where I'm coming from all these years, this is the time to get it out there. People are starting to get intrigued by these games now. It's been somehow because of you. This is a great show that you put on here. With these podcasts are phenomenal. I was just on Spooky the other night with my buddy Joe Newhart. I did an episode with him. I says, wow, this is my second podcast, but where have I been? I got to get more involved. I started listening to your podcast, and so much information. It's remarkable. This is exactly what I was hoping for. Someone would dedicate and bring out their passion and spread the word. Spread the word. I mean, we got to strike now. For your listeners out there who are thinking about getting a bingo pinball machine, now's the time. They're so cheap and they're so remarkable. Nick will tell you, he's just starting to dabble in them and he's loving it because he gets it. He gave himself a chance. He played them a couple times. Yeah, I'm sure when he first listened and watched, he was a little confused or it didn't seem right, but he took the time out and he gets it now, and that's what we need to do. We need to tell everybody these games are great. They're EMs. They're the minds behind them. I mean, it's incredible. We don't want the bingos to take all the credit because the horse race games really came from the bingos, and Bally had them out from the early 40s right up to 1949 at the end with Turf King, or 50, whenever that one went out. And you pull a tray out of a horse race game, a one-ball horse race game, and it slides right out that big door, and there you go. You got the bingo parts that are in the heads of the bingos. So I mean, it's easy. You're fixing a flipper game EM. It's the same parts. It's only multiplied by a lot more circuits. Yes, maybe there's a little bit more of a 110-volt motor thing going on, and control units and searching this. But these things are basic stuff that you can learn, and just generally learn about this. And then if you can trace a circuit, you're going to fix a bingo. You're going to fix it, especially when you get your own bingo and you buy a game, you bring it home. That's when you're going to get it. You're going to open it up. You're going to make love to it. You're going to fight with it. You're going to cry with it. You're going to bleed with it. I mean, let's face it. Give yourself a chance on these bingos. They're sensational players. I mean, the difference between the flipper game and the bingo is like checkers and chess. I heard Steve Smith say that. I might have said that to him. I don't know where he got that from, but I don't know. I might have heard it, but I might have originated. I don't know, but that's precisely it. Chess and checkers. Bingos are like chess, man. You got to think. You got to take your time. It's incredible. It's such a special game, and it takes so long. It's like pool. Pool's a phenomenal game, but it's got to put time in and dedication to even start to run 4 or 5 or 6 balls. Once you do, you're never going to put that stick down again. Same thing with the bingos. Give yourself a chance. Buy the game. $50, $100. I want to give away a nightclub. I'm going to offer it to you on the air live here to you, Nick, first. I got a nightclub that has your name on it. It's got 2 coils missing, an extra ball button missing on the front door. The playfield needs a little touch up. I got a picture on my cell phone. I'm going to send it to you. That's why I asked you, Nick, if you wanted to go. Are you going to the Allendale show? I was going to put it in the truck and surprise you. If you didn't want it, I was just going to leave it on the side. I mean, I had this thing up and running, so I did want to ask you first before I make a move with this. I'm trying to make a little space around here with my 40-game collection and 40 machines here and 4 separate game rooms. I'm trying to squeeze in more games because I need more games, and I need more bingos. Somebody just posted they got a Palm Springs or a Palm Beach on Pinside just before we started this little podcast here, and that game is nice. I love them early 50s games. I had a Dude Ranch, and I played Dude Ranch, and you asked me what was my first game, and it was Light Line, but Seaside Heights Boardwalk in New Jersey had tremendous amount of pinball machines in the early 60s to the mid 70s, but no bingo pinballs. And I finally one year found a Dude Ranch in the back of Central. It wasn't Central Arcade. It was Royal Arcade down in the Funtown section of the boardwalk. It was all the way in the back. And the guy would pay you off in cigarettes, not cash. But I was playing Light Lines by then, and when I saw this game, it was strange to me. I said, what is this? This is a 1 card? What's this? All these odds? This doesn't look like no 6 card bingo. And I was a kid. I must have been 15, maybe 14. I said, it's a bingo. I got to play it. So I got a roll of nickels. $2 in nickels goes a long way. Better than quarters. So I started dropping them in, and I'm trying to figure out the game. I really didn't know what I was doing. And I could recall that I didn't know what I was doing. I saw fortunately for me, I found a Dude Ranch 1 mile from my house in a dollar store in the basement of the chain of stores, the little mini mall there. I pulled it out for the guy wanted big money. I told him, look, this is $75. You got more cooked coils than a chef. I says, you can't expect no money for this. So I got it cheap. I brought it home. And this was in my early days. I says, I can't believe I found a Dude Ranch because I played one on the boardwalk in Seaside Heights when there were no bingos then on the boardwalk. So rare. Sometimes weird things happen in the hobby to me. And incidents come up where I'll help people and it'll turn out that I know the game or it's something. Even stuff has happened 35 years ago, and that's a whole nother story I'll tell you about at Bank of Ball, what I did to a person here that lives a couple blocks my way. But anyway, getting back to the Dude Ranch, I pulled this game out of the basement of the dollar store. And it needed a lot of work. And that was my beginning days of the bingos. And I'll tell you, that's where I learned a lot of stuff. I took that Russ Jensen, the bingo operation. That's the Bible, guys. Listen to me out there if you're listening. You Inside Your Bingo by Russ Jensen is the secret to success in buying bingos and getting them to operate, getting to know about them, familiarizing yourself with them. This will get your foot in the door without even buying a bingo or anything. Go online. It's free. Find it, print it out, and take it everywhere like I did. You got to go into John? Take it into John with you. You're going on a trip? You're not driving? Take it with you and read it. Read it, learn it, and then the bingos will be easy to work on because you have the foundation. The foundation. And that's what's going to get you to love these games. Terrific games they are. I mean, I can't talk about them enough. I know Jeffrey Lawton says I sold out a little bit on the bingos, but I didn't. They're still my true love. It's just that I get more thrills from playing flipper games in the home collection than bingos because nobody's paying me. And that's the real catch, fellas. When you're out, you're a poor kid from North, you got about 50, 60 cents in your pocket. You carried bags all day long, cashed in all these bottles. It all added up to like maybe $1 tops. And you're going to play that lighter line. You want to win. You want to extend your playing time because you love the games. You love the game. It's a great playing game. It's so skillful. It takes time. This is what people are shying away from. They look at the game and people explain that you got to buy your odds, you got to play your features, you got to after fifth ball. All of that stuff, they're not focusing. It's easy stuff. If you can read, you can play bingos. All the information is on the back glass.
Mm-hmm.
And the card. So, I mean, now's the time. I'm promoting it. I'm hoping that everybody wants to try to get a bingo because you all have DMDs, you all have solid states, you all got wedge heads, these are all packed up. You can't buy. Get a bingo now. Now's the chance to experience what Nick, myself, and all other bingo collectors love about these games. Get a wood reel. Look at this Palm Beach this kid just picked up. I don't even know his name. What was his name on Pinside? Pick that up. Anyway, usually I try one. You're gonna like it if you bring it home and you work on it and give it a chance. You'll see. It's a game you're gonna keep in your collection. So I mean, playing days are not over for me. They weren't like they were back in the streets in Newark when the city was flooded with bingos. I mean, I got thrown out of a lot of stores who asked me, did anybody ever pull you out from underneath the machine? Yes, they did. And they were not happy about it because they warned me and they knew who I was. And they said, I promised I wouldn't do it, but I had to put the can back up because I want to even the score up, man. I'm going to win. I'm not going to throw my money away. Not after I worked all day for $2. I'm going to give myself the best chance. But, yeah, I got pulled out. They, pull it by the back of the pants. They kick you on the way out. They get over it, and they let you back in. Then you hit them for a couple more $100, and they want you out for more couple weeks. I mean, these 6-card bingos were my games, though. I have to say, resorting back to the 6-card bingos, even though I did play Dude Ranch on the Boardwalk at Seaside Heights at an early age and found one here, I like the 6-card games en route. And I like the 1-card games, magic screen games, turn and quarter games, magic pockets, you name it, whatever they did. The shaker, what's the ones that shake, Nick? What's that game? The hi-fi? Yeah, I love the colors on that game. But they're the games, too. They're nice for home use because it's more of an experience of playing. You get to drop more nickels in and build up this game, and they have all these features that you can move the ball and magic lines. And I mean, that's what it's about. If you're going to think about getting a bingo, get something like that for your collection. And then if you want to get better at playing literally, then you get yourself a 6-card game because a 6-card game is maximum coin in, maximum coin out. That's all it is. Light a line, 6, 8, 10 dimes, and you got all 6 cards. Now, your ticker tape, Nick, what do you got? 6 games, 6 quarters going right in?
6 quarters max, yep.
So that's a quick game or what?
Oh, yeah.
You're putting 6 quarters in, takes you how long? 37 seconds? Not even.
Just about, yeah.
And then
I don't have all the numbers memorized yet, but I'm working on that.
That's okay, but that comes. Now you have to play partners with Ava.
Mm-hmm.
And tell her, listen, we're partners, we're playing together, and that's going to be a nice bond. I mean, I was going to dedicate this podcast to my friend. He's no longer with me. He was my bingo partner and my best friend growing up, I guess, from the age of about 10 to about till he passed away. But, I mean, him and I went partners so many times on bingos, and all he thought about was bingos, too. He was an okay player. He resorted to me to carry the load, and I didn't mind. And then once in a while, he'd get hot and bang double corners on a 6-card game or hit that big 6-card line, that 1, 3, 7, 21, 6 on the bottom of the 6-card. And he'd even go double sometimes. But they're very magical games, and I love the 6-card games only because that's what I grew up playing. But I prefer the other games for home use, the Magic Screen games, and I love my gate time. I had 3 Gaties. That game is a spectacular game. You can hop holes, change numbers on the back glass in the card, and move lines, and then get spotted free numbers during the course of your nickels going into the machine.
That's a lot of help.
A lot of help. And to give that to Vic Camp, it's suicide. It's death. I would hit that machine at my leisure, and I proved that. There was a big summer pinball show that Kevin McHugh from Classic Pinball here in Clifton, who really brought the hobby to New Jersey. He came over from New York. Just have to give Kevin the credit for really taking this hobby, and especially the EM hobby, and putting it where it is today. His mark is there forever. There's no one that's ever done what he's done. But anyway, getting back to his show there in the summertime, I decided to take 4 bingos in a box truck from work, the same box truck I took down to Bill Dahl's warehouse, the guy from York who used to run the York show. And I decided to make a 40-foot banner and have a demonstration of the bingos for everyone at the show. And I thought I was going to be successful. So I literally brought my gay, and I can't even recall the other 3 games. That's how long ago it was. But anyway, I have witnesses because they helped me lug them big guys right into the show. It's not like bringing in a wedge head, boys.
No.
Everybody knows you play with bingos, you're playing big time, big weight. I just had my Silver Seals crush my plastic horses. My son says, I can't believe you caught that game and you were in the back, Dad. I says, I wasn't going to let that game hit the floor.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I brought 4 games to Kevin's show, set up my banner, and this is before it's showtime. I brought the game in, and all the collectors that know me here in the tri-state area, in Pennsylvania, and all the guys in New York. I have so many friends that I've met over the years, and this is so valuable of information I like to pass along, is when you collect, the camaraderie with the boys and the guys and whoever else is cherishable. So all the guys are at the show. They're like, Vic, what are you doing bringing all these bingos? Nobody's going to be interested. I says, you'll see. And they said, well, how do you play these games? I said, I'm going to hit a 5 in a row for you guys right now, first game, right out of the truck. They set the Gaty up right in the middle of the floor. We were setting up the big showroom there. And all the guys are gathering around, all the collectors, and they're all watching because they're intrigued by this machine. I see it in their eyes. I know they want them. I know everybody wants them, but they're afraid because of the complexity of them. Mm-hmm. They're going to get over that hump. So I set this machine up, and I power it up, and I start dropping them nickels in, and I'm building up this game. I'm getting the magic pockets. I'm getting all the lines. I got a couple of numbers spotted. Now I know in my head, you're cheating because you got 2 numbers spotted already. You got all this stuff lit, but they don't know that. Mm-hmm. So there I go, 5 balls out, moving everything around. Look at him going, moving it up. He's moving numbers up. Look at this. He's hopping holes. He's changing all the numbers. They couldn't believe it. All of a sudden, the sound of 5 in a row. There you have it, fellas. I pulled it off again. The people come to my house. I have big parties here on yearly parties, and then I open up on twice a month on Thursdays now, and I get many people as I can get here, collectors and anybody that likes pinball, even people that don't can come. And before they get down into the basement or into the family room game rooms, they got to pass the garage game room, which has all my Bally bingos. So I always hold them ransom for a little Bally bingo demonstration. Of course, I got people that are walking away one by one, and then I noticed that 2 or 3 stayed and they're really interested. And I always give a good, thorough education and background on the games, hoping that somebody's going to want to get some of these games, because there's so many of these games out there now. They're still available, you know. I think they're still available. So, you know, people got to start to wonder, you know, what's the next game do I get? I got all these DMDs, got all the solid states, got all the wedge sets. Let me try a bingo. Do it, guys. Take the time out. You're going to love it. They're great players, and you won't regret it. But, you know, right now I'm thinking, I did an article in the Game Room magazine back in 2001 called Confessions of a Coin Addict was the title of the write-up. I'm looking at it now online. My 2 boys are, I got one sitting on the glass. He's so small. Anyway, I guess that's 15 years ago. That's why, Vic. Anyway, I wrote about how I did convert over from a flipper player game to a bingo pinball addict is the right term for me, because I just couldn't get enough. I mean, 20 years, 30-year-old man still going out and wanting to play these games. They were so exciting and so challenging and took so much skill and focus. And that's what I like. That's why I love pool, and I've been a big pool player for the longest time too. So, you know, it's can't hurt to try it. So, I mean, now's the time. I'm glad you have this podcast going for amusement only. And I think in that article I wrote, I think at the bottom page here I'm looking at, it says bingo pinball machines were not for amusement only. They would be placed in back rooms and sometimes right out in the open in all types of establishments like candy stores, cafes, bowling alley, pool halls, bars, etc. The city of Newark was flooded with them. I started playing at the age of 14 and played them about 20 years straight. The first 10 years I played almost every day, and I mean hours per day. I didn't go to school much because it was during the riots. It was 1969 and 1973. The riots had residue from the riots. So I went to a public school after being in a Catholic school, and I remember that we weren't in the school that much, but I did get a good education. I actually started college, but did play a lot of bingo, playing hooky. Sorry. I have to admit it. But it was good. It was good. I learned a lot. And
hey, you did your math.
Yeah. Hey, and I learned the number combinations well. So, I mean, there's nothing like it. But how you doing with that 6 card yourself? What do you want to talk about? Anything about that 6 card compared to your you got a double up, and you got a
bounty.
You do have a double up, right?
Yes, a double up and a bounty.
And a bounty. So you got a 25, a 20 hole, and now you got the 6 card game. That 6 card game, Nick, is going to make you a great player, bro.
Yes, it's trying to now.
You got to go partners. You need a partner. Call in numbers. That's how you're going to learn the combinations, because while you're watching your ball, because I already heard how you play the game literally, where you put your hands and everything. So while you're watching that ball and weaving that ball through that maze and making your numbers for inline hits, you're going to hear that little partner saying, 16, it's 4 in a line. 17, it's 5 in a row. And you'll learn them numbers. It's a great game, this 6 card game. It's really a great game to get good at the game. So, yeah, it's 1-1, just like Nick. He's got them all now. 20 hole, 25, and he's got the 6 card game. So he's on his way.
It's funny you mentioned about Ava being my partner. That's actually her current favorite game down here. And she gets in a little time every day, and I spot her and she spots me. So that's working very well.
That's phenomenal, because, on Spooky's podcast the other night, Joe Newhart, we go back, and he knows me very well, and he used to take his boys, and I used to take my boys to all the shows, and they would battle out in the tournaments. Even me and Joe battled the tournament, an adult tournament, and I hadn't won until he was leaving. I made him sign up, and then everybody was looking for him, Joe, if you're listening, I know you know this story. I was at Central Park at the Allentown show, and I got 2,850 points. That's huge. I was shaking. Someone had the tilt low, and I was shaking. People were almost upset, saying, look at them. I seen it in their face, and I had a game. Everybody had 700, 900, 1,200. Mm-hmm. I had 2,850. I was a lock. And there goes my friend Joe. Everybody says, what happened to Joe? I don't know, because Joe's busy at these shows. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, I see him walk, and I say, Joe, you're up. You're the last player. We're looking for you. You know what he did? Came over and got 2,900.
Oh, you're kidding.
Took that plaque from me. Joe, we're going to battle again. I'm going to battle you against that variety bingo I sold you at your house. Joe's got a nice bingo in his collection. Joe's got a great collection, too. Do you know Joe Newhart there, Nick?
I've met him at the last York show, but I don't know him personally.
Oh, he's a great guy, man. You're going to get to know him. He's just so friendly, and he loves the games, too. I mean, that's where it comes from, the heart. Mm-hmm. It comes from the heart, this hobby, and you'll know who the real collectors are at the end. Some people get in it and get out and come back in and come in and get out, but the guys who really have the passion and the heart are never going to let it go. But I'm glad you got that ticker tape. But I think what's going to happen to you, Nick, is you're going to say, hey, Vic, that Dixieland's got a 7th and 8th coin. And what is that 9th and 10th coin? And what's this double-double stuff? You see on that Dixieland, just like the Bally enticed us players when it was happening out on the routes. Of course, they came out with the first one. The game was the blue-colored game. I just said it, stock market, and ticker tape. I mean, a lot of games came out, and every year they put a different feature in. And I'll tell you, them features made a big difference, a real big difference.
When they were enabled, huh?
Well, you know what? They had to keep them in. They did keep them pretty fairly in. I have to say, Nick, that's very good you brought that point up, because at that point I remember the ticker tapes and blue chip had the center spot, always worked. High flyer, they came out with the 7th and 8th quarters diagonals, red diagonals. That was a really terrific game, that red diagonal game. Then Nashville came out with the magic number, 9th and 10th coin, and then Dixieland, of course, the 11th quarter was the double-double feature. And, you know, you're going to want to graduate probably down the road, but you'll find a good home for that one, and then you'll probably, or you may never sell it. That might be enough for you because you're learning and you love playing that game. It's a quick-paced game. You're making numbers. You're going back on your double up. You're going on your bounty. You're playing much better on all these other games. That might be your game for, progression in your gameplay.
Yeah, what's been interesting?
You got to play the games. There's collectors out there. There's a lot of collectors out there that's not playing their games.
Mm-hmm. But as I've said before, I mean that's eventual death for an EM. Then you spend all your time fixing them and no time playing them.
Well, that's why I open up on Thursday nights for myself when no one comes around. I really have to play my games because I do extensive preventive maintenance on all my machines. I've done it for years. I have documentation inside the coin boxes of when I waxed the game, when it got a new ball, when it got new rubbers. I cleaned switches, what broke down, and changing lights. And I've done it religiously for many, many years. And just recently, because the boys are getting older and they're not playing as much, the games are getting considerably less plays. I've documented all my game meters throughout the years when the kids were playing them on the summer vacations from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day. Where I was fixing score reels constantly and stuff. They were burning them up. They were literally smoking. I mean, I was getting 500 plays per year. Home use is quite a bit. I'm down to about 125 plays per year. And I'm putting
with all you do opening up your game room, huh?
Yes, because when I have a party, each game gets about 40 games to play, 35 games to
Wow.
play. I got 40 games, I got 40 people here. And don't forget, Nick, when you have these parties, everybody comes over and talks.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's hanging out and not playing pinball. They're eating, they're hanging, they're talking, and that's the stories are going. I mean, the all the secrets are coming out, and everybody's listening. So you don't get that many plays when you have big parties. Just want you to know that.
So it's interesting having the three different types of games. We got two with moving numbers or moving cards, and then the one 6 card now. And I feel like the 6 card is probably a really good place to introduce new players. And I know you said that for home use, the magic screen or the moving numbers are a better fit. But for just having people over that have
Well,
never
that's
seen,
for me, Nick.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a personal thing, these games.
sure. But what I was going to say is, when you have people over, it's just so straightforward. The 6 card, you know exactly what your goal is at any given time. For each ball, it's pretty simple. There's less deep thought that has to go into each shot. You just have to know which number you need to make, and usually there's a couple that'll get you a good result, at least a 3. So it's it's a little easier for someone who's intimidated by all the features. The other thing I'd say to recommend the 6 cards is that there are fewer units inside. So if you're a person who's intimidated by the electrical setup, it might be something to investigate. And that's, another reason why I'm interested in doing this. And thank you for your compliments earlier, and your nice words there. I'm really looking to introduce people to these fantastic machines, and having a variety here every time I have people over. I'm just like you, I guess. I make sure that the bingos get playtime. I had a pin golf tournament here recently, and the bingos were no exception to the tournament. People had to try to get certain shots. So it's a thing where I think with enough exposure, enough familiarity, people will start to feel comfortable and will want to pick these up. And you're absolutely right about the price right now. It is a good time to get into bingo pinball. They're out there, sometimes beautiful, original condition, for not much money. And fixing them can be daunting. But as I say, there's ways to get around that. And of course, there's resources online. There are so many different things that you can read that tell you how the machine works. Russ Jensen's Inside Your Bingo, as you mentioned. Phil's site is just a fantastic reference, and I've mentioned that several times at bingo.cdyn.com. It's all, great material to get your feet wet. And another thing that I'd like to do in the future, and let me know what you think about this, Vic, is film some gameplay, everything from coining up the machine to actually playing and winning, hopefully.
Not easy to do sometimes. Even the best of us machines get.
That's the magic of video, though. You can always try again. But I just think having those resources out there to make people more comfortable would probably go a long way towards getting them into more people's hands. And obviously I feel very strongly about them, strongly that I talk about them almost daily here. And I would love it if every collector got a bingo in their collection, or at least, knew someone around town that they went to play bingos regularly. They're such a different experience, and they're so challenging. And every game is completely 100% different from the last on the same machine. I mean, so they're just fantastic games, marvels of engineering, and the different features that they provide that allow you to win so many replays. There's nothing like it that I've seen, certainly. So,
yeah, they'll give you a rush, a thrill. For me, playing on route was so exciting. I mean, to make these numbers, I loved the pressure. The closer I got to 5 in a row, the more I knew I was going to make that number. Tried harder and harder to make these inline scores, or hits, which we bingo players call them. So, I mean, Nick, you're on the right track with the 6-card things for an introduction type of game into someone's collection, because of the things you did touch base on with it's less mechanical moving parts, quick instructions to learning the game. And the good thing about the 6-card game is you'll actually play the game literally, and that's where the excitement really lies, when you know that you need to shoot the ball on one side of the play field and follow what I call blockers. If you have another ball in a numbered hole, you use that ball to kind of ricochet off and come down that side for the number you need to make a hit or an inline score. So, I mean, there's a whole strategy to literally playing these games, and that's what really I loved. And that's what keeps me interested in the games now. I love everything else you touched base on with the mechanical engineering, design, and all of that. But, I mean, playing the games is what it's all about, whether it's a flipper game or a bingo or a shooting game or a ball bowler. And they look good, they're cool, but playing is the real thrill. At least it is for me. And these games are sophisticated, these bingo games. You need to study the layout, play a lot of games, just like anything else in life to get good. You need to dedicate time and focus, and you'll become a better player and enjoy the game more. So the 6-card game is a great game to start off with, for sure, because of the things we talked about. The only real challenge will be learning the number combinations, and that just takes time. So once you do that, I mean, you have to study them like I did. I took a picture of a back glass and I carried it in my pocket.
And I've taken your advice. I'm starting that too.
That helps, and you'll see that'll fuel you to becoming a better player quicker. Anything you can do in anything in life. Sports guys, these dedication of exercise and this and that and vitamin, it makes them all a better player, but it takes a strong dedication. But then you'll be at the top of your game once you do. And the bingos need that. You need to really dedicate time to these games. I mean, it's not like playing a flipper game. Flipper games, you're whacking the ball around. Yeah, you're shooting for a target once in a while. You're holding the flipper. Yeah, you're taking a shot here, but literally that ball's on its own a lot of the time. Doing what it wants to do.
Yep.
And the bingos is the opposite. You're on top of that ball, controlling that ball all the time. And I think I talked to you about this. The best advice in when you're starting to first learn how to play these games, literally, trying to make numbers and shooting the balls out and playing the games, is the best thing I can tell you is to shake only when you have to. I seem to watch the ball a lot, and I let the ball do what it wants till the last split second. And I know it's not going to do what I want it to do. I'll make a little nudge. I'll make a little shake. And I see the ball coming down the play field. I can envision the ball hitting the certain post and ricocheting right into that number. And that comes from experience and watching the ball and playing these games seriously. So then when you do come up against challenging these games, which it's all about, whether it's flipper games or bingos, because they wrote it on the back glasses. You look around, you see little sayings, fun to compete and challenge and this and that, and little sayings all over. Mm-hmm. And the bingos are the leaders. I mean, these are games you really need to put your best foot forward on and try to beat, because you're in control. You're actually always that ball's just rolling down the playfield. There's no pop bumpers hitting it anywhere. There's no ricochets going, no kicks, no kick out holes, no drop targets. It's just you and the ball. And that's where it lies, man. You become a good player, you start playing these games, you learn the number combinations, you start winning, you're going to like it. You're going to want to play more. You're going to want to get a bigger hit than you got. And that's what's going to keep you interested in the games. Mm-hmm. But you got to get there. It takes time to get there. And that's what people out there don't want to do. But I don't understand why, because some of these DMD games, my God, I had an Addams family, and that's not really a complicated one. It took me 2 weeks to learn that game. What to do. Yeah. I mean, my sons, they didn't read the manual. I did. They knew how to play it without reading the manual. You talk about Ava, you playing. I can remember the days, man, with the boys. They just lived pinball with me. My oldest son was the player and the tester. I restore a game, he'd play for 2 days and tell me, this is broke, you missed that, this is out. And really? These kids are amazing. The minds on these children's playing these games it's astronomical what they can pick up. Now, I was talking to Joe Newhart the other day on the podcast, and we were talking about the boys and how they, and I was saying, I never taught Michael or Victor anything about any game, a sequence of operation. I never said to them, read the card. I never explained the card to them. I didn't have time to tell them how the game worked. Mm-hmm. I fixed the game, or we were fixing the game, and they're playing the game, and all of a sudden, an hour later, the next day, 2 days later, hey, did you know when you do this, you did this, and that happened, and this? Oh, I didn't know that. You guys know more than me. And you don't even read nothing or figure anything out. Their brain is a sponge. Mm-hmm. It's so much fun to experience. The games bring so much joy to everyone. And for me, it was extra special when the boys were young. I mean, my son, Michael, my little guy, I mean, he literally would get invited to big collector's party where there was no kids allowed. And he was 10 or 8, and they all wanted him to come because he was so educated on all the machines. He knew more about wedge heads, atom balls, and how gameplay was. And all these collectors were amazed by him. They pick him up at the show, and where's my son? Oh, he's with him for an hour. He's talking to him. 8 years old, he was filming all my stuff at the Allentown shows and York shows with my camera, and never had a crooked screen. I trusted him. Oh, the amazing thing about him was he would run home from school. The school I could see from my deck, the grammar school. And I bought him a skee ball. It was a small little Chuck E. Cheese dinosaur one. It was a short, and I got it free. So he wanted to restore it because him and I were restoring a 1949 bowler together. And once I got him that skee ball, he's like, Dad, he says, I just can't help you anymore. You're on your own with the bowler, This is going to be my project. This is a 10-year-old kid that I got pictures and films of him scrubbing legs, polishing stuff, doors, filthy, dirty, super clean all over him.
Wow.
He knew how to use a razor knife. I trusted him with a soldering iron. I mean, he would literally run home from school to do restorations at a really early age. And the games, they just bring so much joy to everybody and bring closeness to everybody. Look at all the collectors, all the people I know on this East Coast here. So many people have called me and said, hey, listen, I found your number. Can you help me out? And I get them started. Before you know it, they got 10 games in their house. They're coming to all my gatherings. I'm going over to their kids' birthday parties. I mean, these games, they were amazing when I was growing up. I used to look at them and I was startled by them. I didn't know, how could this be? I remember a distinct story where 2001, the Gottlieb Wedgehead was the first drop target game ever made. And I didn't know that when I was hanging in the candy store 50 feet from my home back in Newark, where I literally worked with the vendor that used to bring in games into this candy store that was very close, 50 feet from my house at least. And every month they'd bring a new game in. And I guess it was about 1971. I guess I was 15. And here comes Vito Voglino, the owner of Coin Amusement, the company I worked for as a young kid. $2 a day. Emptying machines, counting quarters, grand opening flags, you name it, I did it. Cotton candy at the feast. Anyway, he comes with his pickup truck, this old beat-up green truck. And there's the box, the gauntlet box. He went and picked up a new game. It's coming into the store. Now, everybody's waiting in the store. What's he got this time? You know, we went through North Star, Buckaroo, King of Diamonds, the 67, 65, 69. Aquarius was in that store. Every month a new game. I played every game. Plus I went around to Irvington and Elizabeth, and I counted quarters. I played all the games on all the routes he had. But this time he came with the truck. He had the box. And he starts ripping the box up, pulls the game out of the box, and sets it up in the store. And we're all just gathered around. We're amazed. We're saying, there's something on the sides, but there's slits in the machine. There's nothing there. So he plugs the game in, takes the paperwork out. This is how these vendors did it, right out of the box, set it up in the store, and bang, it worked. We saw them drop targets go up and down. My knees were shaking. I couldn't believe it. I says, what is that? What kind of feature is that disappears into the playfield like that? And I'm looking at the game. Now, here's the thing. I'm looking up at the back glass now, and it says 2001. It's 1971. I'm 15 years old. I'm small for my age. I'm very low looking up at that theme of this, the title of the game. And I said to myself, wow, 2001, I'll be dead by the time that year comes. It seemed so far away, Nick. It seemed so far away at that moment in time. And now it's 2015. It's 2015 already. And the games are still here. Mm-hmm. They're still here. They're everywhere in my house. You've got to walk sideways to get into some doorways. And you know I got a 2001 because that is a spectacular player.
Yes.
It's a spectacular game. When that game came out on route, man, we went crazy. But we went crazy over every game. North Star, oh my God, what a game when that came out. Even the bingos, I mean, that was amazing to see the 6-card games develop all these features every year and make the game so much easier. I mean, we had so many hours of playing time that once they put these features on these bingos, they were very hittable, for me at least. I got barred out of a lot of stores. I've hit the big hit on Dixieland twice. The big hit on Dixieland is the 6-card with the magic number and the double card lit and the nerve to go double at the end of that whole big sequence. Now, I said that pretty quick, but I'll slow it down and tell you how it works. On the 6 card, 3 in a line is 4 games. If you have the magic number, it becomes 8 games. If you're on the magic card, it becomes double, becomes 16 games. So with that being said, a 4 in a line is 20 regularly. You got the magic number, it's 40. You got the magic card, you doubled that, it's 80. Now, don't forget you can go double or nothing at the end of your 5-ball game. So that 80 can turn into 160, which is a nice hit for 4 in a row. Mm-hmm. So now if you get 5 in a line on the 6 card, it's 300 replays. You have the magic number, it's 600 replays. You on the double card, it's 1,200 replays. And now that double or nothing's flashing in front of your eyes and you're saying, do I take the 1,200 or do I want 2,400 games? 2,400 replays I can play for 12 hours. 1 card a game I can play for 6 days. If I play 1 card per game. But anyway, I hit that twice. I hit that out there, but I would go double on the 4 in a line. In other words, if I had shot the 1, the 7, and the 21 for 3 in a line on the 6 card on the bottom horizontal row, the very bottom row, would give me the 8 and then the 16, and then I'd shoot the next ball out. The selector lock relay will pull in for payout, correct? On the fourth ball, that would give you 4 in a line, and the selector lock pulls out. Now you can double that score. You can collect that 4 in a line in case you got a big apple in your throat and you know you're going to tilt for going for the 5 in a row. A player could collect the 4 in a row first. So that's when I would go double. I doubled that 4 in a line, which would be 44 games, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then having the magic number becomes 88 games. And then being on the double card becomes 172. I'm not that good at math. Anyway, at that point, I double it, and it stays double automatically. So when you make the last number for 5 in a row, you automatically get the 2,400 games. But you got to have the nerve to double the 4 in a row for that 172. That was my secret to success for making them big hits. People would wait and try to get double it at the end. I had a pretty good feel for that double or nothing, too. I had some kind of rhythm thing going. I had a kind of swing in my finger. I would swing my finger like a trapeze artist, swing and swing and swing, and bang, I hit it right at that moment, and I get that double. I had some kind of remedy. I got it quite frequently, too. I don't know why. Kind of try to study them games as a kid, you know? Mm-hmm. Especially when I worked for some of the vendors. I used to go and watch all the guys fix all that stuff and fix them bingos, and they'd be back there, and I didn't know what it was. I was marveling at that. He had that big cigarette going in his mouth with a long ash, just keys, 100 keys in his side band, and he'd say to me, "Kid, it's got me this time. I can't figure it out." And I'd say, What's this? Kid, get out of here. You're bothering me." But, yeah, the 6-card games are great games, good money-making games. I mean, I know some other vendors that are still in business now. I still have one friend that used to run the bingos, and he told me personally, Vic, and I knew this anyway, and I don't want to say why on the air. I want to kind of keep it PG. But he told me, Vic, the bingos made more money out of any coin-op machine I ever put on route. He said they would call me. I'd open the door, be pouring up over the cash box, all into the cabinet, money galore. And this is within a day or two. I would go back to locations. These bingos were really, really making a tremendous amount of money on route 1971, 72, 73, all them years. I mean, even years before that. I mean, I know for a fact, because I would be there all day long watching the money go in. And I knew the guy at the counter, and he had that old White Owl cigar box, the White Owl cigar box. And there were rolls of quarter in there. And when I get in there at 7 in the morning, he had a full box. By 1 o'clock, he said, "Kid, you got to go to the bank for me." And I get the sack. He'd give me a couple $100, and I go right across the street because Newark was a big city, bars and banks on every block. It was a big. There was one that all these games that I played were on a street called Bloomfield Avenue, which started all the way downtown Newark. Look, was a little Manhattan, they called it, because it was a mirror image of real New York City, Manhattan. And it started down there and went all the way through Newark and Belleville and Bloomfield and Verona and Cedar Grove and you name it. It was miles and miles long, this road, this stretch, and that's all that was on the street were a tremendous amount of establishments. So I mean, it was a great place to grow up. A lot of characters, many characters that hung around these places to play the bingos. And but gee, just so many good times. I really don't remember really there being that much trouble at all. I know that a couple of guys got mad and busted the glass, punched the glass, not the back glass, hit the playfield glass because they just lost their whole paycheck. I watched Al Pace. I counted as a kid. We were all there. $10, $10, $10, till he lost $150 which back in 1969 was a week's pay. That was a good week's pay. And then he went and got an IOU. So, I mean, I felt sorry for some of the players.
Yeah.
Another guy that came down, he was the cook over at the Seven Hills restaurant, was a little Italian guy. He couldn't even speak English, he had broken English. And he used to bang the machine, hit the top of the machine to shake it, just the lockdown bar, bang it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what kind of shaking technique is this? I never said nothing. You don't say anything to anybody. I just wanted him to really, have his time at the machine and get off so I can get on. He was a quick loser. I knew I was going to get on quick because he doubled everything. His motto was, I'm going to shoot a 3-ball out fast. I'm going to shoot the 3 of the balls, and you're going to see I got a 3 in a row. Man, he shot so many 3 balls out real quick. He never got a 3 in a row. Maybe once in a blue moon. Me, I was directing the ball out of the ball shooter. The first ball on the landing, I already had where it was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had my favorite numbers on the 6-card game, which are 10 and 7. I love that 10 and 7. The corners are the best. 3, 6, 9, 5. Now, 3, 6 are on a lot of corners. So when you got your corners lit and you're playing a 6-card game, you want to definitely go for 3, 6, 9, 10, 5. All top numbers and second row numbers. They're all corners. 1, 8, 4, 6. That's my favorite. The 1, 8, 4, 6 on the 6 card. I think the 1, 8 and 1, 8 and 6 on the 3rd card. So if you get the 1, 8 and 6, you'll have 3 corners on the 6 card and 3 corners on the 3rd card. So the numbers to make a 5 in a row with the corners lit, because it pays you 5 in a line to get the corners. If a player already has 1, 6, and 8, he's got 3 corners on each card, the 3rd and the 6th card, 3 corners. They only need the 10 or the 4 for 5 in a line. And you can get double 5 in the lines or double corners with the 1, 6, 8 and the 4 and the 10. 5 numbers. So there's another combination with the 4 corners. I don't know if you know, Nick. 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 9 are on the 4th and the 2nd card. So if you're playing corners, there's an opportunity for a player to win 2 5 in the lines or 4 corner wins, because 4 corner pays 5 in a line. 3, 6, 9 gives you 3 corners on the 4th and 2nd, and you only need the 5 or the 10. There's that 10 again. There's that 6 and 10. 1, 6, 8, 6 card, 3 card. It's all about just so cool just to learn combinations and numbers, especially if you like math or something. If you're just some people, there's just number people out there. So I mean, this 6-card games, the combination, the numbers are really good. I mean, there's a lot of times, like Nick said, you can actually play a game 6 cards and you get a lot of shots at winning. Are you going to get them? I don't know, but your opportunities are going to be there. You'll almost always shoot for something, which is nice. And this is what's going to be the draw for the people out there that want to are considering or thinking about a bingo, because they figured, look, I get it cheap. It's an EM. I can learn more and I can play something different. It's such a different game than flipper games. It's nice to have the comparison and the variety, Mm-hmm. So, combinations, learning the numbers are great. 14, 20, 21, big superline numbers. The best superline numbers are 9, 15, 25. Them 3 numbers will give you wins on the 3rd and the 6th card again. And the super lines pay you, if you get 3 in a line, it pays you 4 in a line. You get 4 in a line, it pays you 5 in a line. So, a lot of features on these little cards here already, even on these early games like Ticker Tape, I think has super lines.
Yes.
Perfect. So you got super lines and corners.
Yep.
That's really, really what you need. To throw the 7 and 8 quarter in there for red diagonals, that's super cool, because then you can win on 4, 6, 10, 12, the multiplication of lines that you're going to win with the red diagonals, which for people who don't know out there, the red diagonals are really not legitimate ways to win in bingo. It's a vertical vertical hit, but it doesn't really pertain to the true bingo game, the ones you go to these bingo balls and play, for 5 in a line. Mm-hmm. But it's just a feature that Bally put in there. So, 9th and 10th quarter with the Magic game really boosts it up. So plenty of 6-card games out there, fellas. I think there's 21 total that Bally made from 1951 to 1978-79 when Dixieland, the last one off the run, had come out. So let's see, what are all the 6-card games? I guess if you got 1951 Bright Lights, 1952 Frolics, 1952 Bright Spot, 1959 Funway. Here, the Ohio Dime games came out in 59. Funway, a lot of fun, 1959. Barrel of Fun, 61. Light of Line, 61. Barrel of Fun, 62. Then you got Shoot a Line, 28-hole bingo. Really an odd game. I played it on route, didn't like it, never got used to it. Weird number combinations, very difficult to win at. Cool game to have. That came out in, I think, Shoot a Line 62. Then Hole in One started really the 6-card games, actually. Stock Market followed in 71. Ticker Tape 72. Wall Street 74. Blue Chip 75. Bull Market 76. High Flyer 77. Nashville 78. And the last EM made by Bally in 1979. So there's plenty of 6-card games out there. Total of about 21, somewhere in that general area. That's only a small margin of bingos that Bally produced. Most other games are 20-hole games, which Nick's has the pleasure of experiencing. I played them at some of the shows. John Robinette used to come to a big show here in New Jersey that's no longer being held. And I had bought my first 6-card game off John Robinette. He's a long-time bingo collector that's in Jeffrey Lawton's book. I met John Robinette on the New Jersey Turnpike. I brought 200 feet of extension cord, blankets. I said to John, we're going to make a deal. I'll take the Nashville and I'll take the Stock Market. Put them both in your truck. You drive halfway up the Turnpike. I'll drive halfway up. We'll meet at a big gas station. I'll run the cord. We'll plug them in. I'll put the curtains over it and I'll watch that thing tick and I'll make sure it all works. And sure enough, he was the best. John Robinette said, Vic, 100% working. I said, I love you. Put the games in put cabinets on the top rack and the heads in the back of his truck. We just got home with them. Got my Nashville home. This was many years ago. And man, was I amazed. I had my own bingo in the house. And Nashville's a nice game. It's the game before Dixieland. It's a 10-coin game. I like Dixieland better because it has the extra coin, the double-double card, which boosts your winnings up to a total of 2,400 plays. That's a very nice hit. So, I mean, but Nashville's just as nice. I mean, I like the reds on Dixieland. I like the whole coloring scheme and Playfield's color. I love Bikini. I had Bikini. Bikini's a beautiful game. I had that Futurity game. Had Golden Gate. I got Silver Sails now. I got, of course, the Gate Time. Wonderful player. I have a 6-card game called New Continental Golden. That's an electronic game. It's made by, not even sure, GAA, I think, General Amusement something or other in Belgium. These games, Bally produced 10,000 Continentals, digital games in 1980, I believe, after Dixieland. And the whole run of the 10,000 games did not hit the USA market. They went directly over to Belgium, where they inherited a whole load of them games. And they magnificently are producing some of the, just so amazing digital bingo 6-card games. Actually, they made a remake of a lot of the Bally's games that they made in the 50s, like Miss America. I had 9 Miss Bowling Turbos and 2 New Continental Goldens, who I bought off a vendor in Newark, New Jersey. And I bought the whole lot off him. He sent his technician over to Belgium. He bought them. They put all the paperwork back. They had it all coded for them because they all have keypads and all the money marketing going in inside of there and coding, and all is personalized for each vendor. So when he brought these back to the States, the problem was everybody was used to 6-card games here in Newark and the surrounding towns, and he puts out these Miss Bowling Turbos, which is a remake of Miss America, Miss America, the original first Miss America, because there's quite a few Miss Americas. But anyway, magnificent games. I mean, just think about it, Nick. I know you know a lot about the mechanics. I listen to you almost every day now, and just think about what you can do feature-wise in these computerized games when you don't have to put in a giant stepping switch or cams or motors or bicycle chains to move screens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you name it. And these games, you can lose big money. I'm talking thousands of dollars. My new Continental Golden I have fixed and maxed out at 25,000 wins. It can go higher than that. It has a multiplier on it 15 times the amount. In other words, if you're paying $0.25 a card, you can make it 5 times as much, 10 times as much, or 15 times as much per card and per payout. You multiply, your payouts become huge. So when you're putting in a Susan B. Anthony in these digital bingos, $1 a pop, you're lighting up 14 maximum coin features, including the 6 cards, the red diagonals, and all this other stuff. They give you inline playfield wins. In other words, if you get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with your balls in the top row, you win 5 in a line if you have that feature lit. They have a super game. They have a super game going down the middle of the card. It's like I forget it's 4, 10. I'm trying to think in my head because I can't see the machine from here. 4, 10, 16, 20, and 24. You get that like that crazy little lightning rod shaped, and you pay for it. It pays you 5,000 quarters, but you're going to pay for that feature. So I mean, these bingos are amazing. I mean, if you guys love the DMD games or you're into solid states and you're not big on fixing these EMs, well, now guess what? There's an alternative for you guys, and the alternative is these digital bingos. I have books on these games. I've studied with the technician that went over to Belgium. When I bought these games from the vendor in Newark, he had his technician. He called them out, and he says, "You're going to work with this kid. You're going to teach him everything about these games. He's buying these games. He's a collector. He loves these games." And sure enough, man, I couldn't thank this guy enough. He gave me a great deal on 11 games. Gave me training. The guy was amazing. He knew so many tricks. He gave me cabinets full of boards and back glasses and extra parts that he had, and everything included was, I can't even say it. It's so cheap. It was so cheap because he was losing his warehouse space and he had nowhere to put them. And I was right there, Johnny on the spot. I'll take them all. And I took them all. It's a shame that guy's no longer with us. I read an article that he was shot in the head and murdered in his establishment. And I was going in there quite frequently after I bought the games, but I became friends with him. And what happened was I kind of got busy and didn't go up there for a while. And someone had said to me, "Oh, you know that guy?" Yeah. I said, "Yeah." He says, "Somebody shot him in his head right in the desk in his office there in the amusement company." I said, "What? That guy is so sweet. He was like he was a gentle." And I found out when I read the newspaper article that he was really trying to, make some extra money and kind of run some games or do something else aside from coin op, and he got affiliated with the wrong people, and it cost him dearly. So
what a shame.
Excuse me?
I said, what a shame.
Yeah, what a shame. A great guy, and I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I knew him from years ago when I was a kid. He was a little bit older than me, and his father had a route back then. I guess he took his own, he started his own company because I moved out of Newark. I moved out of Newark in the 80s, late 80s, and I didn't go back there until I think I bought the machines in 1999 or 2000 maybe. And so I went back there, and I wasn't around Newark anymore, so I kind of knew him from the old days, and he kind of remembered me, and we kind of hit it off. He was really, really great to me, man. He was just a great guy. I just couldn't understand it. But anyway, I did end up selling 10 of them games. I actually had kept the two best for me. I kept one Miss Bowling Turbo, which I love dearly. I think I put 28 numbers in one card with the extra balls because you got up to 5 free balls. And on my Continental Golden new game, you can get 5 free balls on a 6-card game. That's insane. But you're going to pay dearly. And you know what it does? It actually calculates for the player the exact amount that the player is going to win digitally. Tells you on the back glass through LED circuits and readouts. And then it tells you how much it's going to cost you. And then it lights up the number and flashes it on the back card. So for your people out there that are trying to struggle with learning these games, these digital games are really easy to pick up and learn how to play. So there's bingo stretch out there, guys. They're not just EMs out there. There's quite a few electronic bingos, and they're still making them in Belgium. I mean, they're expensive now. I know the games that I bought off my buddy in Newark there, the 11 games, they were going for about, I think he showed me a receipt. They were all $4,900 at the time, or $4,850 per game each. They were pretty, complex games, and they were expensive. But I think they're going for more now. They got laser lights that there's no more switches in the holes, and you can make diamonds and shapes on the back glass and buy into these 3D games that are deep inside the back glass. So you can hardly see it. I mean, they're amazing. I mean, no one's really touched the subject of digital 6-card games or bingos for that matter, but they're out there. So there's opportunities to pick them up cheap, especially guys that know how to repair these computer games and circuit boarding and all this power supply stuff and all that other terminology that goes along with all this, computerized games. They're out there. They're cheap. They're great. They're really complex, though. I mean, to play these games, they're endless. I mean, there's so many things you can do. You get half your payout if you want. You can collect half your payout at the 3/4 of the game. You can buy into a game later. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, feature after feature after feature. You think Silver Sail's got a lot of features, or Bikini or Golden Gate or any of these other games, even Double Up. They got a lot going on. I've been studying them 20-hole games, but I mean, these computerized games, take a look at them. They got some depth. But again, the bottom line is you'll be controlling that ball like you're playing 1951 Coney Island. That's the game I got. I got a 1951 3-card Coney Island, second game made by Bally. I got it sitting in the corner of my garage there. I play that game daily. Such a great game. Talk about quick pace. 3 dimes in, bang, 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 3 cards lit, and you got 3 extra balls. Oh, you get a lot of numbers in some of them cards. That's a sweet player, man. Some of these standard card games, that's even more simpler than a 6-card game. Guys can pick up a nice Atlantic City 3-card game. Plenty of 3-card games out there that Bally produced early on, 1951, 52. Great little starter games to get yourself a feel for literally playing the games, because that's what's gonna make you want to keep these games. You're gonna enjoy the actual gameplay, but you got to learn the numbers. You got to give yourself a chance to control that ball, move that ball down the play field. I mean, I wrote literally, I think on Danny Leach's site, Nick, literally how to play it, 6 or 7, 10, 12 paragraphs on where to start, put your hands, how to make the 16, 1700 different ways. I mean, the game's endless. You're never going to figure out everything about gameplay, but that's what's going to keep you interested for a lifetime, because as you get better, you'll enjoy the game, but you're never going to master this game. And I know that for a fact. I have lost money. I have lost out there, but I remember playing for long periods of time, a lot of the time, especially when the 6-card games came out. Once I played Light Alliance for 10 years, and then they started making these other 6-card games with corners and super lines and magic numbers and the red diagonals. They just gave me too many ways to win. Way too many ways. Wait, really? Just too many. It was great. I was making big money, going out to eat on them, filling my car up. Great, man. It was great. Once the 70s games came out, forget it. I can't. I did get to play a Continental at a bar in the late 80s, actually. I was going to Monday Night Football. Some guy said, hey, you want to go to Bloomfield, which is the town over from Newark? I said, yeah, I'll meet you over there for a drink. And sure enough, he surprised me. He was an old bingo partner of mine. He says, you see what I got for you? And he pointed in the corner, and there it was. Susan B. Anthony's, $1 a pop. Man, did I go for some money that night. I went for some money that night, but I went back on my own without him because he was dragging me down. I had some dragged out partners that just wanted to. I used to complain, you guys are killing me. When are you going to get a hit? Come on, Camp, you could do it. Come on, get a couple more games. I promise I'll hit a 5 in a row. Yeah, I hit another 5 in a row, and he couldn't even hit a 4 in a row for all them 100 games I got. But I loved the guys. I loved playing. I didn't really care. I wanted them to do better, and I wanted to win, but I love playing partners. Partners is great. You get to really play with someone, and they can call numbers for you. It makes the game easier. Mm-hmm. You know, as time went on, I didn't need no one to call numbers at the end. I knew all the numbers, what I needed. I went from number to number. I knew exactly what to do. And I took my time. I looked up, and I studied every card. Well, if I take the 22, it's going to give me 3 wins. If I take the 20, it'll be on the super line. It'll be more wins. You have to think a little bit, even with the 6 cards, but not as much as with them other games, you know?
Yep. So just to backtrack for a second here, that Continental was the only digital bingo that Bally made. Is that correct?
What's that New Orleans? That's not a Bally, right?
I don't think so.
Weemy. Yeah, that guy threw a New Orleans out in the garbage. One time I went to go see that guy. I bought the bingos on. Listen to this. I went over, the door's locked. I'm like, oh, where is he? Guy used to take a ride over because I used to go there just to see what he got. Because after I bought them digital ones, I think I bought I think it was a ticker tape. I sold it to some guy because I bought the stock market off Don Robinette. And yeah, and I bought a ticker tape off this guy too. But anyway, so it was locked, and I see the New Orleans in the garbage. And I'm like, look at this back glass, man. Oh, I'm taking this, I'm taking that. I took everything. Basically, the cabinet was trash. And I ended up getting the New Orleans glass to somebody that needed it. Through my travels of all my years of collecting and meeting people, and I've met so many people. I've been networked with people in Belgium, Italy. I mean, I had forward air accounts. I was shipping games across the United States for $85 a piece back in the day with eBay, and really no charge on eBay. I had forward air account. I mean, I had custom-made crates with directions in them and bubble wrap and straps, all instructions on how to put games into my little crate and get it back to me. And I lost my train of thought. I was wondering where I was going with that now. Finally, after a couple hours, I lost my train of thought. I'm doing pretty good for an old guy.
I'd say so. You were talking about New Orleans.
Right, the New Orleans. So I got it to a real good home. I packed it up. I took a picture of the packing because I was so proud of myself. You could have bounced it around like a pinball machine in a game. It would have never broke that glass. It was huge, the box. I had to take a picture of it. But I got it to him safely, and he called me, and he said, let me tell you something. You are the best, man. He said, it took me 3 hours to unpack the damn glass, but guess what? It is perfect, man. I love it. So, I mean, just pinball on a whole is fun, man. It's a great hobby. Let's just talk about that in general. If you want to talk about that, it's amazing, and it's a young hobby. I mean, the tabletop started in the early 30s, and I love how you touch base on everything in your podcast, Nick, and it gives you a great reference point of when it started and where it's at now. But I mean, it's been so joyful for everybody, everywhere, and it always had a bad name. Mm-hmm. You know what happened to it back in the day? I mean, yeah, the parents, they didn't understand. It did look bad, and kids were wasting money, but they really weren't being harmed. They weren't being harmed, and these games have this charming appeal to, they were really designed for adults, but the children were just astonished by them, and that's what really got me, I mean, at an early age. So I'm happy the way everything has turned out, especially for pinball, after seeing it die and fade away and then come back. And I gave credit on Spooky's podcast the other night to Joe and all these DMD guys and all these young guys, and you, Nick. You're probably a lot younger than the guys I want to compliment out there. Now, you guys saved the hobby. The young guys saved this hobby. Yes, us old guys who had the EMs and were collecting for 30 years plus, and there's collectors older than me, guys have been collecting way longer than me. We held on to it because it's part of us. And because of that, when the new guys came in and exploded the hobby like it is now, it made my dream come true. And pinball's back, and that's why I push and I donate pictures and I help people, and it's a constant grind. I've done it for years through everything that's going on in my life, but it's all worth it because the bottom line is these are truly amazing games. I mean, you could collect comic books, but you can't touch them. You could get coins, but don't put your fingers on them. Name anything. Cars. They got yellow danger signs on them at shows. You can't even look in them. They're not practical. You're not getting anything out of them. You're looking. I mean, really, what are you collecting today? Mm-hmm. What the trains? Oh, trains are good though. You can move them around. You can enjoy them. But pinballs are really a spectacular machine. You become one with the game. You learn about the electronics. You learn about the artwork. There's so many avenues you can go on. So many eras. So many things to learn. I mean, this is a lifetime hobby. We really need to get the bingos involved here. We got to get these bingos out. We got to talk. I think the word you used was exposure. Mm-hmm. Nick, I heard that a while back when we were talking. And I mean, if there's anything that I can do, I'm starting to feel these podcasts. This is only the second one, and I have to say, I am guilty of not listening to these things. They've been out there. Spooky's been 5 years. I was kind of embarrassed, and I'm sorry, Charlie. But I don't know if I just didn't have the time. I really didn't, because I'm restoring my own games here, 150 games, 140 hours a game. You're tied up, raising family, got a regular job, and you're helping everybody in the general tri-state area. And I mean, I only could cover so much ground, but I'm really enjoying these podcasts. This is a quick learning thing. You listen to them and you get information. It gets embedded in your head quickly. This is the way to go, man. These podcasts are valuable. And I think the word is exposure. They're exposing everything. So, For Amusement Only is out here, guys, just to kind of, initiate you and try to get you to see why, we love these games and why we want them and the enjoyment they bring. They bring enjoyment to everyone. I mean, my two boys, forget it. They were bingo wizards and making hits and calling me, "Hey, Dad, I just got 5 in a row." I'm upstairs. They come in the shower. They're banging. "I got 5 in a row. 5 in a row." I'm like, wow, these kids, listen to these kids. They know how to play all these games. It was amazing to share that with them. And that's what the hobby and the machines are bringing to me, and they've always brought to me. It's just sheer happiness, man. Just sheer happiness. So, I mean, there's a lot of games out there still, especially the EMs. I think the DMDs are drying up, Nick. I don't know how you feel about the hobby, but I think these guys are packed up with these games. The prices are unbelievable. You got 9 new manufacturers making pinball machines. Now, I got that from one of Spooky's podcasts. I'm starting to go back now and listen to more. I love that one with Roger Sharp's son on there. Terrific stories. Did you hear that one, Nick?
Yes.
That was awesome. Pinning up back glasses in his bedroom when his father's bringing stuff home. Oh, it's like Santa Claus is coming every night. Can you imagine that? Your father works in the industry like that? I mean, I was just glad that I got to work with some vendors, boy, when I was a kid. I was crazy about it. I was crazy about pinball, and I was crazy about anything coin up or amusement. I mean, the shore, I would go down the shore, the Seaside Heights with my family. And my father had 4 sisters and 4 brothers. They all had 4 or 5 kids. And we all went down the same week to Seaside Heights, New Jersey. And that I saved all year long for that summer vacation. And I ended up bringing out about $1.75 per night.
Wow.
Ooh, that was 6 games for a quarter, 5 cents in the Central Arcade. Now, Seaside Heights had 6 or 7 or 8 arcades. My favorite was the Casino Arcade because that was by the pool, and my parents and our whole family, my whole generation of family would go to this pool. We'd get the whole corner of the pool because we were near 70 people. And I was never swimming. They called me Casper the Ghost. I didn't have no sun on me at all. I lived in the arcade, 6, 7 years old. My father would tell me, "Don't you leave that arcade." And I'd say, "Dad, I wouldn't leave it for the world." I spend the whole day roaming and lurking and wishing I had money because you only get a quarter back then. But I saved my money for at night. I never had a hot dog. I never played miniature golf. And I never went on a ride. Every single penny went in the arcades into pinball. Well, I did play some pitch and bats. I did look at some of them movies that used to flash real quick for a penny. You put your eyes in there, and they had this real cool. You squeeze a trigger, and you had a little bat, and you hit these home runs on these tiers. I loved that little game, little roll down game from the '50s. Joe Newhart's got all them great games, and they had what's the best pitch and bat? The big Super Slugger is the best one at Autumn. I remember they had that in the back of the arcade. It took up so much space, man. But, man, did I play it out. I played that. And I remember playing everything. Buckaroo, Central Park was down there, King of Diamond, Bank of Ball. I mean, the Casino Arcade at Seaside Heights, when I used to run up them steps from the pool and go into the arcade, they had a giant merry-go-round there, huge, playing that organ music all day long. They had a clown sitting in a cage that you threw hardballs about 20 feet away in a little square to knock them down. They had all these other little big skee ball section. They had a lot of these machines where they had like little folding knives in them and stuff, or little cigarette lighters, and you put a nickel in and an arm would come up and stretch up on this hill and try to knock it down, and you'd collect it like these crane type things, but they were horizontal and then rather than vertical. But mostly tons of pins, rows and rows of pins and wood rails and Gottliebs, and that's where I first got my taste of pinball and learned about it. And I remember dragging an old heavy milk crate. Must have had that's like a sunflower on it and a cow probably on it. I remember I'm thinking about it now. I'm 59 years old and I'm thinking back when I was about 7. Just literally off the top of my head now, looking into the casino now through my eyes and my brain right now. And I literally would just go around and check the coin return. Maybe there'd be a nickel or a dime in it. I'd score a quarter once in a while. I'd look around and look real sad, and I see this older guy playing. He's popping all these games. I put on this sad face, hoping he'd throw me a few free plays, and sure enough, it worked. I'd get a couple free plays just to keep me going because I'd be in there all day because that quarter didn't go far. I would play Target Pool because Target Pool and King of Diamond were my destination games. As soon as I got the money, went right to King of Diamond or Target Pool because I knew I could beat it for a few games. I was a small kid. But what happened was we moved from a different section of town and moved right after we came back from summer vacation. And when we moved, this was where the candy store was, or soda shop was 50 feet. We were the last house on the block, and it had a strip of like four stores, and the corner store was the candy store. And the first thing I said to my parents were, "Can I have a nickel or go get an ice pop or something?" And Nick, I went in the store, and there it was, the pinball machine. I says, "Oh my God, I don't have to go down the shore no more. I don't have to save I don't know." It was like the Beverly Hillbillies guy striking gold or something. You know what I mean? That type of feeling I found. And that was it. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't think. All I knew was I got to my mother used to give me 15 cents for the bus and 10 cents for lunch. Or was it 10 cents for the bus and 15 cents for lunch back in the day, 7th grade. And I would walk to school so far to save that dime. But the only problem was the city of Newark had these bad dog catchers. There was packs of wild dogs foaming from the mouth because everybody would just let their dogs out after they got tired of them or couldn't afford them. And they would roam the city. And I used to be stuck on the top of some car everywhere just to try to save a dime because every time I walk home from school, these goddamn dogs would find me and chase me down. I was petrified of them, and they knew it. And once a dog knows that, then a whole pack of dogs, and I'd be on that car holding that dime, saying, "Oh man, I gotta get home. I gotta play pinball once these dogs go away." Ladies used to come out with hot water. The old ladies used to throw hot water on them to get me off the car because I'd be crying almost. They wouldn't let up. They'd be vicious, man. So I would do anything to save money to play back then, man. It was crazy. And then I got affiliated with the guy who used to bring the machines in. I started working for him. I would go around, like I mentioned earlier in the show here, that he would take me in the truck and tell me, "Come on, we're going to count some quarters. We're going to go to Irvington." I was young, 10 years old, maybe 11 years old, and take me all day. I tell my mother, I'm going to work. "Oh, you're going to work? That's perfect. That's what we want to hear from you kids. Get out there and work." Back then, my mother didn't want us in the house. My father was working all day and night. Who saw him? So I'd get in the truck with him and go around, and I'd go to all the stops that he had, every game. Games were coming out every month, Williams and Bally and Gottlieb. So he had them all over the cities. This guy had a great, great business. And I used to stand on the corner and wait for him and hope that he would come because there was really no steady job thing. If he saw me, "Hey, kid, come on, you could work for the day. I'll give you a couple of hours. Come with me." Then he started ringing my bell. He found out where I lived, right next to the candy store. And he told my mother, "Where's your son? I need him to hang some grand opening flags in the Central Cadillac in Central Avenue." "Really?" "Oh, I think he's in the back playing. I'll get him." They call me, and I go out and work with him, hang flags, or move jukeboxes into bars, cigarette machines, fill up the jukeboxes, all the records. I love the records. That's why I have 7,045 records in alphabetical order. I have a big collection because I used to restore jukeboxes. I still do. I have 3 in the house. But so on the way out, I would, I said, my sister had been asking me for this record, but maybe I'll just put it in my pants. He'll never know. So I would put a record or two in my pants when he wasn't looking. I'd be in the car, and then when he dropped me off after the end of the day, I'd have it all in there. I'd walk out. He goes, "What's the matter? You look funny." I said, I'd be holding my crotch like saying, "Oh, I got to go to the bathroom really bad." And I walk real funny up because I had all these records stuck in my pants. And I bring them home. My sister would be playing, "Oh, that's great. You got the biggest hit by Four Tops and the Temptations." And, then after a while I started asking them for them. I didn't have to, slip a couple in my, because he was such a grumpy old man sometimes, man. He's so cheap too. He was so cheap. $2 a day. I'd work 14 hours with him. He'd give me like $1.75 or something. That was a lot of money for pinball, though. That was better than the paper route. So then I got older. I started driving his trucks. He had the Half Moon on the flatbed truck and a little merry-go-round, and he had the little Ferris wheel and the whip, they call it, and he had a big speaker, and he'd go around the neighborhood playing this speaker out of his truck, and all the kids would run out of the house, and it was $0.25 a ride. So I go around town and collect quarters for him while he operated the trucks. Then I got old enough to drive him. I drive him to the feast for him, and I got to know him as I grew up as a boy. But once I got my license in '73, everything stopped for me. I got my license. I was really crazy about driving and becoming independent, and I was figuring out what I wanted to do for the future, graduating school that year. I skipped a grade. I was graduating when I was 17, I remember. And I started college, but unfortunately, the 4 years from 1969 to 73 during the riots in Newark, no one got an education. So when I got to college, I was lost. And I knew that, so I had to go to trade school right away. But the only thing is my father had no money, so I had to go pump gas in this really bad section in Newark from 4 in the afternoon to 12 at night to pay for school, which was 13 months, an HVAC school in a few towns away from me. But the gas station was in a really bad neighborhood. And at 73 and 74, them years, there was still a lot of residue going around the city from the riots. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't as flared up. So a lot of animosity and hatred still around. So was in a bad section. I got held up twice. They stuck a shotgun in my face down there, and they took all the money. And fortunately for me, they were building the same gas station, what was called Merit, was the name of the gas station. Gas was, ready for this?
Sure.
33 cents a gallon. 33, and I was driving $1 for 3 gallons. And I used to have this little Mustang convertible. I used to go all week, bro. So anyway, they built another Merit station right in Bloomfield Avenue in bingo heaven. I was like, oh, they couldn't have put him in a better spot. And I started working there. All my friends were parking in there at night. I was working the station from 4 to 12. It was heaven, man. It was great, but getting off from work, going to play bingos, going to school the next day, things were good back then. It stopped once I got my license. After that, I really stopped playing the machines. I wasn't as crazy about them. You get a girlfriend, you're working now, you graduated school. I got a really great job out of school from trade school. I started working for the world's largest air conditioning manufacturer. They were a big plant down in Edison. I was actually a junior engineer. I would design the actual air conditioning systems. They would give me a metal box because they were rooftop units, and I put the compressor in and the coils in, the wiring in. I had big power stats. I would just hook up wires into the power stat and dial my voltage I needed, whether it was 480 or 277. I had a big refrigeration gauge in this big laboratory they gave me. I was testing and designing air conditioning systems. They were building and manufacturing them like they did pins. Same kind of scenario. So I got really good. Yeah, heat loads, and I got really good at it. So I didn't want to jeopardize anything. I kind of shied away from pinball and kind of was doing my own thing. But then, I started working and making decent money. So I had money to play the bingos. So I played at night. I played on weekends. I met guys, and I played right into my 30s. These games, they were out there. I enjoyed them, and I could win, and I could invest a little more, and I didn't have to worry as much. The pressure was off. I had money in my pocket. I wasn't scraping, cashing in Coca-Cola bottles for 2 cents. The small ones and the big ones were a nickel. When you got the big Coke bottles, a nickel went a long way, You get 4 or 5 of them, you got 30 cents right there. That's 3 cards. I'm going to get a hit on 3 cards. And I build it up. I used to build up from 1 card. If I only had a dime, I go in and I got to get a hit. I got to get a hit and build it up. I know I'll get a 4 in a row soon enough. So, very addictive, very crazy. I mean, big time player. Everybody wanted to play with me, partners. I mean, the vendors, they hated me, but they loved me. I mean,
I'm sure you brought a lot of quarters in 400 times at the time because people wanted to see you play and make those big hits.
Oh, people loved watching me. There was so many lurkers. They knew when Vic came in, he was going to whack it, man. And everybody was waiting. The suspense was there. And I told him, just give me some time. Give me some quiet. I don't mind how many guys look. You don't have to call no numbers. You guys just can look. I remember at the York show, Steve Smith brought the bikini, and I had mentioned something. I know you know the story, but I'll say it anyway. He wrote something on RGP, and I said, I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to get that $1 million bikini, because that's the way he was listing it, because he restored it, and it does look like $1 million game. He did a great job, remarkable job. And I said, but I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to rape that game. I'm going to beat it for the biggest hit, man. You're going to cry when I get that game. He says, yeah, right, you can't hit it. And I was down in York, and they're all looking for me. Couldn't get on the bikini. Everybody was playing it all day long. I couldn't even get on. And they're like, where's Vic Camp? He's supposed to get the bikini. He wrote online. He's going to get it. And sure enough, late in the day, I got over here. A big crowd formed. Jeffrey Lawton, Bruce Moyer. I mean, everybody was there. All my tri-state collector friends. And sure enough, I end up getting it, man. I got the 5 in a row, first or second game, and the crowd went nuts. It seemed like someone got murdered. Everybody roared. The crowd roared, and everybody looked. And even me, I was kind of astonished. What the hell's going on over here? Because my back was turned. I was focused. And I pulled off a nice 5 in a row down there on Steve Smith's bikini. And just a great time, man. It's something that I'm going to always remember. I know he wrote something about it when he got it home. There were still like 300 or 400 games on it. When he plugged it back in, it started repetitiously taking them off, because that's what happens. That's how you get paid off on a bingo. Everybody knows that. And he says, Vic, that just reminded me of that big hit you got. And it was great to to participate in something like that. So the bingos are great games, man. I mean, there's people that are interested. There's people that love them. And sooner or later, they're going to be in everybody's collection. I don't know if I'm going to see it, but I know down the road, games are becoming few and far and few between a lot now, especially with the DMDs. There's not a lot around. Prices are out of control, so people are going to want to add games, and these are the games that are going to go in now. I mean, these wedge head guys are gobbling all these wedge heads up. Pinside, it's loaded with Craigslist things and eBay stuff, and everybody's check this one out in this state, check this one out in that state, and people are running and grabbing these games. You know, the bingos are out there. They're just waiting, lurking. They're lurking. They're going to be picked up soon. So hopefully everybody gets to listen to your podcast. You continue with these great sessions of engineering, artwork, wiring, bells. Everything you touch base on is everything that is the makeup of these games. So hopefully something will strike their fancy, curiosity, or the price, or something, and they're gonna want this game, and they're gonna end up liking it. So I got a little problem here where I got a nightclub, like I said in the beginning of this session. I don't know what to do with it. I got pictures on my phone now. I went upstairs and cleared a path. I think if someone doesn't want to take this game off my hands, I'm going to have to lug it with me to the Allentown show and put the old orphan sign on it. Free, take me home. So hopefully it is a project game. It's got a nice cabinet. Playfield is, I've seen a lot better for a bingo, because the bingos are usually all nice. This one is, and somebody must have dropped something on it. It needs a little bit of touching up. I have all the parts off the playfield, the springs, the posts, and really that's all that's on a bingo. Oh, and I wonder why I like doing bingo playfields and waxing them. There's no rebuild. Oh, I wonder why I love them bingos. Yeah, hear that, guys out there? Bingos are easy to restore. There's no pop bumpers, flippers, kickers, kick out holes, drop targets, nothing. But anyway, I got to try to get this game out of here. I'm trying to make some room. I just picked up a crosstown from the newspaper article that came out on me on April 2nd. Here in North Jersey, there's Herald News and the Record. They did a little article on me about my pinball collection, and worked out well. Someone gave me a call, said they had a game, wind up being a crosstown. Everybody knows that collects wedge heads that they are the mid-1965 classic games. They have animation. There's only a few of them, and they're just magnificent pieces. The brass metal plated parts in there, terrific design. They were just the leaders back then. Gollum, everybody knew that. So I couldn't resist. I went up, I looked at it, and I ended up putting it into my car. Just fit in the back seat. The head went in the trunk, and I took the crosstown home, and of course it needed an abundance of work. It was laying 30 years, wires hanging off, and 0 to 9 unit just mangled. And I mean, the list went on. The glass needed to be touched up, and playfield has a few issues, but the cabinet was delicious, gorgeous coloring, and I knew it had some potential. The legs came out amazing. People are coming over saying, how did you get them legs to look like that? They look brand new. Door came out good, ball shooter rod and the lift up rod. So I put a few hours into it already. I got it up and running, and I went to my friend's house today, or yesterday. He's moving to Florida. I have a place in Florida too. I had attended the Florida show in February, which is a whole nother segment. We can go over that someday. But getting back to, I went and visited my friend Pete. He has a crosstown. This is where I wanted to go with it. I'm going to be possibly buying his crosstown and making mine better. So I got a little bit of a project going on here. But the problem is, with 40 games and 4 game rooms, there's no place to restore the game. So I have it in the middle of the aisle in my garage game room, where my Silver Sails, Gay Time, Lady Luck, Skill Pool, New Continental Golden, Dixieland, Light of Line, and Coney Island is. So that's the garage game room. I used to have all the bingos in the basement, but I took them up. I wanted to make a bingo room in the garage and isolate them and just have that categorized like that. And it worked out great. There was a heavy load coming up the steps, though, man. Going down's easy. Anyway, I got this crosstown now. I'm working on it. I'm really going to make it nice. Getting a little harder to work on these games. I'm kind of burnt out after doing 150 plus games with an average of 140 hours in them over the years. So I'm taking my time. I'm enjoying it, but I feel like I'm working in a sardine can. I got tools everywhere. I can't move. I'm backing into things, and everybody's saying, "Look at you." And I turned around and I said to them, "I'm happy now. I'm happy. I got a game. I got something to work on. I got something to bring back, make it look magnificent, and I'm happy now because I'm looking at this other article here in 2001 from the Game Room magazine, and it says I have 37 games in my collection. This is in 2001, and I have no room for any games, so I can't buy any more games. Boy, this is depressing. So this has been going on for 15 years.
Right.
It's not easy to not bring games in, and it's hard to let games go these days. I mean, right now, I am holding on to everything. So many people want to buy my games, and I tell them, I love you, I'll find you games, but I'm not going to be able to sell you anything. Come down, play them anytime you want, call me, they'll be like your games, but I can't sell anything because of the hard hours and time that I put into them, the fine tuning. I mean, one time I went on a rage of just polishing all the ball shooters. Can you imagine polishing 40 ball shooters, rods? You know what that's like, repetitiously doing for maybe 6 days straight, 4 of them a day. You know what I mean? I adjust my flipper gap switches to perfection, that every time you push a flipper switch on the side of my games, it's all the same feel. Mm-hmm. Over the years, I've been fine-tuning everything about the game. So, and these are the reasons behind me not wanting to sell anything. I really want to share them and sell them with people, and I've done it because I've sold 120 machines or 115 machines that pass through my collection. A lot of them I regret. I got some. I just bought back a Countdown that I sold 12 years ago from a guy in work. I never sell it again. It's right here. I'm looking at it while we're talking. It's just beautiful. I remember having 4 Countdowns to make that game. So the amount of work that goes into building a collection, if you're doing it yourself, is really unbelievable. The time you really need to put in, and it's difficult, and if you emphasize the point, how hard it is to fix these games, and they're complicated, and to work on them, they're so tedious, and the list goes on. They're made to perfection. If you don't put everything back the same way, it's not going to work. So, I mean, these are the reasons I'm holding on to what I have. And every day I wake up, I want to get a game. Every day. And now that I got the Crosstown, it kind of eased my pain a little bit. I've been fighting not to bring anything in because I know now. I just picked up a 1978 Playboy for my wife, Karen. She loves that game. And I also just picked up a Rockola Bubbler. So now I even have less space. But my mind's constantly thinking, and I'm trying to move out some games, and that's why I'm offering the nightclub up to anybody that's interested out there. Call me. Call me. You can email me at campgames@yahoo.com. The game needs work, project game. Like I said, couple coils, push button, yellow button for the extra ball on the front. Playfield needs a little touch up, and you got to put everything back on the playfield, and it doesn't have legs. I don't know what I do with the wooden legs. So the back glass is NG. I mean, I have one for the game, but some vendor colored in all the odds and made it a one card, almost like a one ball game, actually. He was so greedy. This guy must have been so greedy, Nick. It's amazing what they did. I've seen so many massacres of bootleg stuff happening, especially the Light Alliance. For 10 years, they ran them without another 6-card game coming out. So they've had every rocket ship on every kind of design and theme on that back glass that you can think of to keep the feds away. Anyway, if anybody's interested, I'm going to the Allentown show. I'll be there Friday. Unfortunately, I won't be there 2 days this year. Work calls, and I got to do some special stuff there at the building. So I'll lug it with me. If anybody's interested, just give me an email. And if I don't hear from anybody, I'm probably going to post it on Pinside. Or like I told Nick, I'm just going to bring it and put the orphan sign on it and leave it. Someone will take it. I could talk somebody into it down there.
You know? That Nightclub is a fantastic game. It's one of my favorite bingos. With the magic corners where you rotate the numbers around, and it's got the immediate count up as soon as you shoot your fourth ball. So if you have 3 in a row, you shoot your fourth ball, and then you just hear it ticking up while you're angling down the playfield. It's quite a feeling. It's a great game. It's a wood rail, so it's lighter, and because it's an earlier game, there's fewer units. So that would be a good project for somebody. And does it use the smaller yellow extra ball button, or does it use the larger size, like on the pick-a-plays?
The Nightclub?
Yeah.
Oh, the Nightclub uses the actually. Hold on 1 second. Trying to. It does have a yellow button. It has a yellow button, a red button. So there's only 2 buttons on the Nightclub. And
are they the same size?
Same exact size.
Okay.
What's missing is the actual chrome button itself and the yellow plate around it. That's missing, and I don't have a lock on the door. That's all that's missing from the game on the cabinet. No legs, of course, and playfield needs to be put back together and touched up. And you're going to need a back glass for it, but I had the game up and running. It was working, but that was, boy, that's an old game, maybe 18 years ago. So she's sitting, and I stole a lot of bulbs from it. A lot of bulbs got stolen, but it does have I think it has the bally hole, if I'm not mistaken. This particular model might have the 16 is called the bally hole. It does. It also has on it the A, B, C, D, which makes the turning corners move. Mm-hmm. And it also spots your numbers. It gives you the 2 or the 18. And it also has a magic square D, so it gives you all 4 corners, which are actually 4 numbers in each corner that revolve clockwise, I believe, Nick, right? Clockwise.
Correct. Yep.
And they spin around clockwise, all 4 numbers, so you'll be able to gain some real nice number combinations with this game. And Nick did touch base on the quick scoring. Not only is it quick, but guess what? It has double, triple, and quadruple scoring. That's insane. I remember racking up these quadruple hits, man. I mean, it's fast. This is like a machine gun going off this replay counter. I remember distinctively now. I had 2 nightclubs. I had made this beautiful nightclub, but I traded it for a gorgeous low-played jet spin. Amazing condition. You look on IPDB, you'll see my jet spin there. My name isn't underneath there for some reason, but just look for the best one. You'll find it. And also have, with the double, triple, and quadruple scoring, you get to have the before and after 4th and 5th ball. Mm-hmm. And also corners. Having corners with a turning corners game is magnificent. It will give the player many chances at succeeding and getting some major hits, or what we call inline wins, the technical term. So this is a nice game. It's got some pretty nice wood on it. It's very nice. I got to say, the door and I have pictures. If someone's going to inquire beforehand, feel free to email me. I'll send you some pictures out. But it's a project game. You're going to need a glass, and I'd probably get a new play field.
That sounds great. Well, Vic, I want to thank you for your time and your great stories, and I hope to have you on again sometime, and we'll go over some more. I think we might be having some technical difficulties here, but thankfully I'm here again. So if anyone wants to contact Vic about that nightclub, it's campgames@yahoo.com. And Vic is a very nice guy, and his passion carries across everywhere that he's written articles. I highly encourage everybody to go out and check out Danny's site at danny.cdyn.com. On that site, Vic has written up many great bingo reminiscences, and his playing tutorial, highly detailed, and pinballowners.com, and he's registered there at Camp. And he, on that site, has written up just incredible detail, playing information for each game, the story of where he acquired it and how. It's fantastic. So when you get a chance, go check out those sites. Somebody contact Vic, please, about that nightclub and save that game. It's incredibly fun, single card bingo with the turning corners, or the magic squares as they're called. Great game, great guy. Thanks, Vic. And that's all for tonight. Thanks for joining me.